Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. Today we are going to discuss globalization, de-territorialization. This lecture is a part of your paper on media and globalization. The lecture focuses on the notion of de-territorialization in India after the advent of globalization in 1991. It also highlights the nature of de-territorialization as well as the factors responsible for the emergence of such process and the aspects of the society which impact overall process of de-territorialization. The lecture aims to highlight the impact of de-territorialization on developing nations as well as the factors which have led to the process of de-territorialization. This lecture will help the students in understanding the concept of de-territorialization and the overall process involved as well as the factors responsible in impacting a developing nation through this approach emerging out of globalization. At the same time, we will understand the different elements involved within the process of de-territorialization and the nature of impact that they create in its shaping as well as the overall surroundings. Meaning of modernity and de-territorialization. Modernity refers to the positive developmental changes that have taken place over the 19th century. Modernity can be understood as the byproduct of industrialization and urbanization. With the coming up of large-scale industries over small-scale industries or cottage industries, developments in social, economic and political spheres were witnessed. Hence, traditional thinking, ideas and lifestyles were replaced by modern culture, which further gave way to logical thinking and more innovative ideas, leaving orthodox traditions and outdated thinking behind. Talking about modernity in terms of communication, then we can see changes in ways of communication with the coming up of print and electronic media. Flow of information across countries without any racial or communal biases worked as a stimulus for the growth of modernity. Rearrangement of space and time that is being brought about by the development of media across the world leads to trans-nationalization. Exchange of commodities and information also enhances some kind of interdependency between countries. Individuals can now communicate over long distances within seconds because of globalization and expansion of media. Information can be shared between different places. This concept, the bridging of gaps between different territories, is known as de-territorialization. Developments in communication system had great impact on de-territorialization. Prior to 1970s, information was never considered as commodity, but later was exchanged and became a crucial part in service sector and is now sent from one territory to another. This concept was called trans-border data flow. Telecommunication and trans-border data flow together play a vital role in terms of economic expansion. Various nations exchange information regarding economy, politics and other information through various means of communications. Internationally, information can be shared through broadcasting, by one nation to various other nations beyond its own boundaries. Art forms like music, drama, dance, and various other art forms that spreads a particular culture is not just limited to a particular region but is spreading across the world. If we were to summon Walid Hasboun's de-territorialization ideology, globalization is portrayed in such a way that it overemphasizes the process of de-territorialization. De-territorialization is a concept to describe the transversal of territorial boundaries, which results in increased mobility of commodities, capital, people, and information. He adds, de-territorialization is not a universal phenomena, but it is an effect of the formation of particular kind of networks across certain spaces within a particular geopolitical boundary. The differences between the regions or territories are decreasing. In his views, de-territorialization can be categorized as economic, cultural, and political. Economic deterritorialization may refer to the increased industrialization, due to which more competition leads to the formation of global markets where various nations compete to be better than the other and have better economy. Political deterritorialization refers to the decreased importance of boundaries, distances, and territorial specificities as means of regulation, control, and identification. Cultural deterritorialization refers to the situation when fusion of local as well as the foreign takes place. Hence, hybridized form of culture is formed. Factors of deterritorialization. Now, we will look at the factors of deterritorialization. The concept of circulation would be related to deterritorialization, explaining how circulation enhances the process of deterritorialization. Among three types of deterritorialization, that is economic, political, and cultural, the link between modernized and globalized world and deterritorialization would be described. These concepts would further be linked with the modern media developments. Let us start with the first factor, which is circulation. If we talk about history of circulation in context of India, we come across various modes and means of transportation, but in present world circulation is more than just to and fro movement of commodities and people. Unlike mobility, circulation is a double movement of going forth and coming back, and this can be repeated innumerably. Circulatory regime is the term used for total number of circulations occurring in a particular region and the results of these circulations. According to Ashwin Dasgupta, emergence of colonialism in India along with highways and railways had effects on both cities and their hinterlands as well. Thus, the coming of these changes in Indian society had brought changes in the patterns of circulations. The nature of communication and information circulation has transformed over a short period of time, which can be attributed to the technological developments. Introduction and implementation of the new technologies over the old depicts that with modernity, ways of communication and circulation of information has changed. Hence, increasing relation between people and places, breaking down of barriers of isolation, region and traditions. It gets very difficult to decide what all features of technology are less essential, as technology is being considered one of the most important features of modernity. Heidegger's idea of gestal or Horkheimer's idea of the domination of instrumental rationality builds up the questions of modernity and technological developments. Also further explains that modern technology is very different from the traditional technology. Nishida, a modern Japanese philosopher, names creative development of technology as reverse determination. According to her, reverse determination is recognized impetuously in every historical scenario and at times not in favor of the original inventor or maker. Edmund Husserl's concept of life world, which involves day-to-day work performed by humans, is being opposed by Habermas and many other philosophers. According to the critics of the idea of life world, it directly takes us to the state of despair, whereas life world is a vast concept and has different meanings for citizens of modern society. Marxist philosophers talk about the rationalization of society in terms of technological developments and also the increasing social awareness due to the process of modernity. Next factor is the role of media in de-territorialization. In view of Ginsberg, media is the most important element for anthropological research that refuses boundaries of region and culture. The development of electronic media, in the words of Appadurai, is the crux of the diversity which is seen in imagined worlds. As media provides a plenty of symbolic material, it can be said that media identities have now become de-territorialized and hybrid. The impact of print media was witnessed strongly in the urban cities amidst the educated class. According to Ginsberg, modernity may appear to us the harbinger of the entirely new period of time when symbolic forms were not just limited to a particular area but was also shared in various other regions. According to J.B. Thomson, the developments in ways of communication from print to present-day electronic media had an integral part in the formation of present-day modern society. Developments in communications and technology help migrants or dispersed people in maintaining contact with people in their native lands. Global communities and electronic networks are the utmost demonstration of development in communication technologies. Munro E. Price uses trade routes as a metaphor to describe the transportation of information and explaining the concept of transnational distribution of information and ideas. He calls Rupert Murdoch and Disney as the traders of the information and CNN and BBC as the distributors of news and advertisements. Thomson adds that The media is global as it is constant, and the net, which is ever present, can transport information anywhere, anytime, subsiding the barriers or boundaries of a particular region. Sender and receiver do not have to be face to face for communication or for trade of information. The next factor is cultural deterritorialization. Circulation at global level also refers to migration of people in the middle of various other cultures which might differ from their own culture and traditions. People make such societies which are a mix of the cultures. One of the ways to understand deterritorialization is to study such cultural circulations across territories. Cultural deterritorialization does not only have its impact on the migrated ones but also upon the host country. According to Thompson and Tomlinson, migration of people and cultural embeddedness are the conditions for cultural globalization. Cultural deterritorialization refers to the transformation in connection between culture and territory. Globalization is considered to be disrupting element between the culture and the territory, due to which cultural experiences, identities and practices are being separated from places that they originally belong to. Cultural deterritorialization can be witnessed in a situation where culture and cultural societies can survive and sustain in different and multiple regions. Cultural deterritorialization is a process which can be linked with migrants and disbanded people, among whom many go along with new ideas and methods to preserve and survive in new surroundings, contribution towards the developments that are taking place due to globalization. Impact of trans-nationalization upon deterritorialization. An essential effect of movement or circulation of people, commodities, information or ideas is that cultural forms can locate or survive with other cultures even though they are being indigenized during the process. According to O. Tuathail, deterritorialization is a precondition for reterritorialization. In a process of deterritorialization, the regulation or hybridization of culture which occurred can stimulate counter efforts in reasserting or in redefining the saliency of geographical boundaries. Not only the global formations and goods that enables to exert domination, global migration patterns refers to the migrants who, in the middle of new culture with their own traditions and culture, want to adapt the culture of that particular area and create new cultural movement for themselves, which is a hybrid form of culture. Deterritorialization, according to Hopper, delivers to abate cultural linkage for those who have migrated from their native lands. For the migrated people, it becomes tough to hold on to their native culture in the midst of the foreign culture. Appadurai says that migrants can associate themselves with any changes or developments taking place in their homelands. Hence, deterritorialization, according to him, can be applied even if the actual homelands do not exist anymore. According to Deleuze and Guattari, capitalism connects deterritorialized flows of labor and capital. Also, capitalism extracts the surplus produced from such relation between deterritorialized commodities. In such a case, maximized profit if the ultimate goal, therefore exploitation of labor class was the result. Hence, flow of cheap labor from one region to another increased. Therefore, deterritorialization can be considered as a threat or something which is dominating in nature and has an adverse effect over the local identity, security of the society or the economy. As under the condition of deterritorialization along with the increase in global culture, where various cultural forms collide and form a hybrid form of culture, in such situation it is very difficult to identify the native or original culture among many foreign cultures in a particular territory. We have observed an increase in scholarly interest during last few years in social, economic and political situations of populations living near borders, including investigation of border culture and procedures of shaping identities in borderlands. Such procedures have also been encouraged by the development of transnational activities like mass communications and economic globalization, and a bit by modern political changes that have reduced international boundaries and amended maps. Recent changeability of boundaries that were removed as permanent and immovable borders of diverse culture and national existence increasingly shows the procedure of cross-border cultural intermingling and hence formation of new approving questions related to the relationships of local and transnational borderlands, both literal and as well as construed, are regions where cultural, political and social identities assemble or mingle, coincide and at times conflict. Such areas are meeting point of diverse political, economic and cultural aspects. Hence, unique insights are being provided by such borderlands in such a way in which identities are formed. When a group of people living in actual international border area intermingle, they merge and manipulate that geographical boundary and also the cultural boundaries, hence forming transnational border identity. Impact of media on deterritorialization. Cultural deterritorialization in present world has different instances like increasing trading activities, transportation of capital, people and cultural commodities does not only disrupt, also it changes locations. In Paul Hopper's views, places where we live today are being continuously flooded with information and images from across the world with the help of modern media technology. In her book, The Death of Distance, Frances Cairncross explains that technology works as an essential driving force which has a direct impact on the economic, political and social aspects of the society. She says technology takes a particular form much before its effects emerge for society. According to her, revolution in communication has led to the death of distance, as with developments in communication technologies, sending information or messages is now a matter of seconds. Coming up of computers and internet in 1990s enabled people to communicate across the world easily and quickly. Therefore, distance was not a problem anymore. Wireless networking, another technological development, has killed location as it compresses space and place, bringing the world in our pockets. In other words, it enables us to have the information of the entire world. Death of distance has caused some of the spontaneous changes. In views of theorists who are interested in long-term procedures of social developments and changes, media is more casual and temporary. Also, according to classical theorists, it is not the developments in media and technology, but the cultural aspects, rationalization and secularization which have helped people to discard the old tradition and adopt the new ones. Advancement in media technologies in a globalized world helped migrants to acquire information about their native place and to associate themselves with whatever happening around the globe and to associate themselves with people of their community or clan. On the other hand, technological developments in media or communication methods have brought the idea of virtual reality in question. Now, mere presence has replaced co-presence. Social life is being overshadowed by symbolic representation and individualism. In today's globalized world, when nations are fighting among themselves to showcase their superiority over the other, religion and customs have lost their importance, whereas concepts of institutionalization and mediatization are getting popularized. The question here arises that whether the privacy of the citizens is being hampered through transnationalization or sharing of information across the borders. Though information regarding the citizens of a particular territory remains within the territorial boundaries, collection, circulation and promulgation of such information is being controlled by the government. But in a condition when the information is being propagated to an organization or an institution about the citizens beyond the borders or to another nation, then there are chances of the information being misused. There might be issues with censorship of the information which is being provided in bulk, and hence probability increases that privacy of the citizens is at threat. Interconnectivity through internet and communication systems also endangers the privacy of the citizens. Now, let us conclude and summarize what we discussed in the lecture. Modernity is considered to be a developmental process in which old orthodox and traditional ideologies are left behind and new ideas and theories are encouraged. The word modernity is interchangeably used with westernization, whereas both these words have different meanings. Modernity refers to the eradication of the old and adoption of the new, whereas westernization refers to the popularization of Western ideology. Developments in media technology and modernity can be related to each other, as with the advancement in technology, old technology is being removed. And with the advancement of communication systems, people are becoming more aware about the things happening around them. Changes in communication technology have compressed distances, as being explained by Karen Cross in her book The Death of Distances. Nikos Papastergiadis explains cultural deterritorialization as the condition where people of various communities come together and also they do not share a common territorial boundary with all the other people in a particular area. Deterritorialization refers to the scenario when boundaries and territorial border do not hold much importance and the cultures, political ideas as well as the economic activities of people from different territorial areas combine and form a new culture. Media plays a vital role in connecting those who have migrated with their native lands by providing them information through various modes of broadcast. Trans-border broadcasting helps these migrants to get the news of the homelands. But with existence of media, geographical borders have loosened their grip. In today's modern world, when people from different territorial regions come in contact with the people of another territorial region, they do not ask to demarcate separate areas. Rather, people from variant cultures come together and try to form such a culture which is mixture of the native culture and of the foreign culture. Such intermingling at times leads to a situation of confusion where it becomes very difficult to recognize the original native culture of a particular territorial region. Deterritorialization has its impact on economy as well as the social life of the people who are now migrants. Not only their cultural ideologies and heritage is lost, but also the exclusivity associated with a particular territory is lost. For example, earlier only India cultivated tea, but since the culture of drinking tea had spread all over the world, the novelty of producing tea in India is lost. This therefore has disturbed the Indian markets. It can be said that modernity, deterritorialization and developments in media technologies are interdependent. With advancement of technology, concept of modernity enhances, but also trans-border exchange of information or transnational broadcasting has drawbacks along with the benefits. Information which should not be circulated beyond a particular territory can be easily accessible by anyone through internet or various other forms of communication. This might concern the privacy of the nation and its citizens, and also confidentiality of information vanishes as soon as it is being transferred or circulated through various modes of communication. I hope you've enjoyed the lecture. Do attempt the questions in the self-evaluate quadrant. For further reading suggestions, please refer to the third quadrant. Thank you.